I hate school. Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Stay.
Hi, Mr. Stay.
And I wasn't your typical
Hi.
Hello? And I wasn't your typical book nerd, or typical class clown, or any other typical student. No. I was an escape artist. Instead of just sitting still and learning like every other good student, I would be hopping my school fence and running home. But before you judge little me for being so naughty, there is a very good reason why I would do this. It's because I just couldn't pay attention. For some reason, when I was in school, my brain would go on shutdown mode and turn me into a zombie. While every other student could see this, I would see this. And the weirdest part about it is I like learning. It was just when I'm trapped in school, listening to boring teachers yap all day, my brain just says, no thank you, and disappears. This is why I would escape school all the time. Because even though my family and teachers don't believe me, it is still really true. And that is, I learn way more outside of school. School may work for 99.9% of other students, but me, I'm just a little different. Everything I learned was from reading books and studying on my computer in my bedroom. I taught myself a lot of things in my bedroom, but my proudest achievement was I literally taught myself how to read. No joke. I was 10 years old and still couldn't read. Legit, my teachers never knew what to expect from me, because one day I was banging my head against the desk out of complete boredom, and the next, I was the best reader in the entire school. That's not even a joke. Within 6 months, I went from not being able to read one line from a 2-year-old's children's book to reading every single book they had. But as you all know, I wasn't always this genius, well-behaved student. No, at the start, I was actually quite the opposite. I would love to say real quick that I love my mother for putting up and dealing with my annoying kid self. Every morning, me and my mother would battle, spending hours of our time just to get me dressed. And then once I was dressed, my mother had to go and get all the other school stuff ready. And devious baby Stay, noticing that my mother was distracted, I would strip down naked and just run around. I would always get punished, but it was worth it just to miss those extra few minutes of school. My mother would even threaten me and say she'll take me into school completely naked, but I still had her beat because I didn't even care about that. There's only one time I cooperated with my mother and went into school peacefully. My demands were very simple. I told her I'll go into school only if I can wear my favorite sheep costume. After my mother called the school and they said it was fine, I spent all day as a sheep. All the other kids were laughing at me, but I didn't care because I was a sheep. Bah! When getting naked didn't work, I had to try plan B, the runaway. While walking to school, I would run from my mother as fast as I can. I had no sense of danger when I was a kid, so I would literally just run straight into a public road. But my mother outsmarted me there too, because she just got one of those baby leash backpack things. But my mother recently told me that I actually really enjoyed this leash backpack. Apparently, I used to dangle on it like I was a spy, and I'd even forget sometimes that I was attached to it, and run as fast as possible, and I'd get jolted back. Eventually, we would reach the school, and I'd try my hardest to guilt trip my mother and look really cute, but she didn't care. She would personally take me to class as I was kicking and screaming. I even distinctly remember a teacher saying, "Don't worry, miss, he'll get embarrassed when the other kids see him crying, and he'll stop." Oh, teacher, I took this as a personal challenge. I don't care what other people think of me, so I just went louder. Even though all these efforts never worked and I still always ended up in school, my mother said I did this for 3 years. Can I at least get an A star for effort? But little did my mother know, my mischievous plans had only just begun. Excuse me, young man. Get back to class. Oh man, stupid teacher. I heard that. This was me as a baby, and I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I was a pretty cute baby, and I used this to my advantage. This is where my escaping school obsession started. I became so good at escaping school that I even had other kids sometimes asking me for advice on how to escape. My plan was very simple. Step 1, fake being sick. You want the teacher to come up to you, not you go up to them. Every time I went up to the teacher, they never believed me. Step 2, when you're in the nurse's office, you have to convince the nurse you're super sick, and they have to call your parents. Step 3, when your mom comes to pick you up, do not, and I will repeat, do not drop the sick act. I remember it feeling like life or death, because if I even cracked a little smile, my mother would send me straight back into school. I have to warn you though, I did this so many times that my mother got really good at noticing when I was faking. It got to the point where even the teachers weren't falling for it anymore, and this ended really badly, because one one morning, I woke up and I felt super bad. My mother, of course, thought I was faking and sent me to school. No matter how much I told the teachers I was in pain, nobody believed me. But turns out I had severe appendicitis. This is when a little organ called the appendix, which us humans use to eat grass, decides it wants to go boom boom, trying to explode and kill me from the inside. It wasn't until I got home and my mother saw me and realized her mistake. I was completely pale. I couldn't straighten my back and I was barely conscious. Even though I almost died, I'd like to say it was 100% worth it. I got to rub it in my mother's and my teacher's faces that they almost killed me. Plus, I got a few months off school. So who's the real winner here?
We're losing him. Get the defibrillator. 1, 2, 3.
I have plenty more strategies I could teach you about escaping school, like putting your head on the radiator to make you look like you have a fever, or chewing up your lunchbox food and pretending to throw up in the toilets. Hell, I practically invented the escaping school instruction manual. But it's time to move on to the big boy stuff, something more challenging and worse than baby school could ever be. It's now time for high school. Reality sets in as I'm not this cute big-eyed kid anymore. Instead, I'm this short, pimple-faced teenager who stinks. I was 11 years old when I went to high school. Everyone was talking about the jobs they want to do when they grow up, like a doctor, a bin man, beauty therapists, and every time someone asked me, I would always say, I don't know, but that was a lie. I knew exactly what I wanted to be, a YouTuber. I would use all my free time in school watching my favorite YouTubers, just dreaming of what it would be like to be one of them. And now I am one. To make my dreams even bigger, just click subscribe. And hey, I'll even go back to school for a day just for a video. The only time I enjoyed school was when lunchtime came around. And yes, before you ask, I was that kid who would fully sprint through the hallways just to be the first one in the food line. I'm not very proud of it. The only other time I enjoyed school was when it was time to leave and go home. But as you can probably tell, I had a lot of detention. Every lunch break I'd have detention. I'd have after school detention. Damn. Even one time I had 4 detentions at once and I didn't even go to one of them. I got so good at even escaping my detentions that the teachers would team up and trap me. Just like this one time, I had been caught by the teachers all day. I had no lunch and they still wanted to keep me for after school detention. But I had had enough. At the start of the after school detention, my teacher had her back turned helping another student. I saw my chance and I took it, sneaking out the front door, even snatching her chocolate bar as revenge for not letting me eat for the whole day. But little did I know this only got her furious. She personally called up my dad and told him she chased me around the school. And I knew this was a lie because I snuck around the back of the school, I hid in the bushes, and I was just laughing and watching as she got super mad. Stories like these always led to interesting conversations at parents' evening. Shockingly, every teacher would tell my parents I was actually a very quiet and polite kid, and they weren't lying. They would always say that I'm not loud or obnoxious or even really that much of a brat. I was clearly just a kid who was bored and didn't want to be there. They would also say that I was a very kind kid with a heart of gold. This had my mother's jaw on the floor because at school I was really quiet and polite and I would only get into tiny bits of trouble. But at home, I was full of energy, bouncing off the walls and annoying everyone in my family. Most of the teachers would actually always feel sorry for me because I would always turn up to school with a new injury. I've broken 10 bones in my life and every single one was on my left arm. I was probably the only kid in the world who would like to break a bone only because I would get a few weeks off school. Even though I write with my right hand, I would always trick the teachers and tell them that my writing hand is the one that's broke, and so they had to give me a laptop to do my work. But as I started to get older, school just felt like a prison. You have to go to your classroom cell. You get 20 minutes in the yard for free time. Plus, you eat the same meals every day. Speaking of school meals, I would every morning get a bacon and bean baguette. This was the only meal I liked in the whole cafeteria. But one day, as I was eating one, I choked on a giant piece of bacon fat. I had somehow managed to swallow half of the fat while the rest of it was still in my mouth. I panicked and pulled the fat from what felt like my stomach and threw it on the ground. As I was catching my breath from almost dying, the one and only headmaster came up to me. Instead of asking if I was alright or if I needed a glass of water, he saw me throw the food on the floor and thought I was littering. He made me pick it up with my bare hand. It was disgusting. It had all like stones, hair, and bean juice all in it. Another reason why I hated school was because of the bathrooms. Everyone knows high school bathrooms are just a no-no. Sadly, little me didn't know this because on the first day of high school, I ate chicken curry from the cafeteria and it instantly hurt my stomach. I ran to the bathroom and was horrified to find a gross, moldy smell smelly, covered in wet toilet paper bathroom. Even though this bathroom was worse than hell, I still really had to go. And the worst thing ever that could ever happen to a student happened to me. 3 older kids came into the toilet. They instantly started hackling me, laughing, kicking the door, and even stole my bag. But halfway through stealing my bag, one of them hopped on top of the stall and realized I wasn't who they thought I was. Turns out I had the same bag as their friend Jared. After they realized, they run away, and I never went to the bathroom in school ever again. This is Horace Mann, the inventor of literal hell, or in other words, he invented school. To billions of people around the world, he's known as a literal hero, but to me, he's the devil. If I ever see him in the street, it's on sight. Huh? You gonna invent school again? Huh?
No, please, stop. I just wanted to help people.
My old baby school was so old and unsafe that it literally had to get knocked down and destroyed. All of my classmates were crying from sadness, but all I remember feeling was pure happiness. It even gave me an idea. If I ever become a billionaire, I will buy all of my schools and personally destroy them. Bye-bye. Subscribe and watch more of my videos.